All animals are equal, but some animals are more equal than others. Imagine a world where the oppressed rise up, overthrow their cruel masters, and build a utopian society based on perfect equality, only for their new leaders to slowly, systematically turn into the exact monsters they fought to destroy. This is the chilling premise of George Orwell's 1945 masterpiece, Animal Farm. On the surface, it is a simple fairy tale about farm animals. Beneath the surface, it is a razor-sharp political satire exposing how noble ideals can be corrupted by the corrupting nature of absolute power. The spark of revolution. The story takes place on Manor Farm, a poorly managed English farm run by the cruel, irresponsible, and often drunk farmer, Mr. Jones. One evening, old Major, an elderly and respected prize boar, gathers all the animals in the barn. He shares a revolutionary vision. A world where animals are free from the tyranny of human exploitation, working only for themselves. He teaches them a revolutionary anthem, Beasts of England. When old Major dies peacefully a few days later, 3 younger pigs take his teachings and formalize them into a complete philosophical system called animalism. These pigs are Snowball, vivacious, inventive, and highly idealistic. Napoleon, large, fierce-looking, quiet, but deeply manipulative and accustomed to getting his own way. Squealer, a brilliant, silver-tongued orator who can convince the animals that black is white. One night, driven by intense hunger after Jones forgets to feed them, the animals spontaneously revolt. They chase Mr. Jones and his men off the property. Manor Farm is renamed Animal Farm, and the core principles of animalism are painted on the barn wall as the 7 commandments, the most important being, all animals are equal. The honeymoon phase and the fracturing leadership. Initially, the revolution is a massive success. The harvest is more abundant than it ever was under Jones, and every animal works according to their capacity. The dedicated cart horse, Boxer, adopts the personal motto, I will work harder. However, cracks soon begin to show in the leadership. Napoleon and Snowball disagree on absolutely everything. The tension peaks over the construction of a windmill, which Snowball designs to automate the farm and shorten the workweek. Napoleon bitterly opposes it. During a mass meeting to vote on the project, Snowball gives an inspiring speech. Seeing that the crowd is won over, Napoleon lets out a high-pitched whimper. Suddenly, 9 ferocious attack dogs, which Napoleon had secretly raised in isolation since they were puppies, bound into the barn and chase Snowball off the farm into permanent exile. The rise of dictatorship. With Snowball gone, Napoleon seizes total control. He abolishes the democratic Sunday meetings and declares that a committee of pigs, led by himself, will make all decisions. Surprisingly, he announces that the windmill will be built after all, claiming it was his idea all along and that Snowball had stolen it. Whenever the animals question this sudden shift, Squealer uses gaslighting, psychological manipulation, and the threat of Mr. Jones's return to silence them. As the years pass, life on the farm grows harsher for every animal except the pigs. Napoleon begins trading with neighboring human farmers for supplies. To justify this violation of the original rules of the revolution, Squealer secretly alters the 7 commandments on the barn wall at night. For instance, no animal shall sleep in a bed becomes no animal shall sleep in a bed with sheets. No animal shall drink alcohol becomes no animal shall drink alcohol to excess. The Reign of Terror. When the half-built windmill collapses during a fierce storm, Napoleon blames the exiled Snowball, branding him a traitor and a saboteur. Snowball becomes a convenient scapegoat for every failure on the farm. In a terrifying display of absolute power, Napoleon holds a public purge. He forces several animals to confess to imaginary conspiracies with Snowball and has his dogs rip their throats out on the spot. The remaining animals are left traumatized, realizing their dream of a free society has transformed into a totalitarian nightmare. The ultimate betrayal occurs when Boxer, the loyal and hard-working horse, collapses from exhaustion while working on the rebuilt windmill. Instead of sending him to a veterinarian as promised, Napoleon sells Boxer to a horse slaughterer, Knacker, in exchange for a case of whiskey for the pigs. Squealer smoothly spins a lie, claiming Boxer died peacefully in a luxury hospital, praising Comrade Napoleon with his last breath. The full circle. Years pass, and the memory of the rebellion fades into distant history for most animals. The farm is prosperous, but the wealth belongs exclusively to the pigs and dogs. One afternoon, the animals are shocked to see a pig walking on its hind legs. Napoleon emerges from the farmhouse carrying a whip, walking upright just like a human. The sheep, who had been trained for a week in secret, begin chanting a new slogan: 4 legs good, 2 legs better. When the animals look at the barn wall, the 7 commandments are entirely gone. In their place stands a single, chilling edict. All animals are equal, but some animals are more equal than others. The novel concludes with a dinner party at the farmhouse. The pigs are hosting neighboring human farmers, drinking alcohol, playing cards, and flattering each other. Napoleon announces that the name Animal Farm has been abolished. It is now Manor Farm once again. As the ordinary animals watch through the window, looking from pig to man and from man to pig, they realize something terrifying. They can no longer tell which is which. Key takeaway. Animal Farm serves as a powerful allegory for the 1917 Russian Revolution and the subsequent rise of Stalinism. However, its warning transcends history. It reminds us that whenever a society loses its critical thinking, blind obedience to charismatic leaders will always lead to the death of freedom.